that we must also now focus on our rural areas. Through this, we aim to improve rural accessibility and establish linkages to formal economic opportunities in urbanized areas. The National Development Plan says that the ratio of gross fixed capital formation to GDP should be at least at 30%. Now, following the recent recalculation of our GDP, this ratio is currently just below 14%, which is not desirable for an economy of our size. Underspending on public infrastructure budgets compounds this problem. That is why Infrastructure South Africa has drafted a National Infrastructure Plan 2050 that sets the vision for what needs to be achieved in public infrastructure and the policy stances required to get there. Now, let us not punish ourselves, because it does happen that countries do fall behind when it comes to infrastructure. Even countries as big as the United States, which is the biggest economy in the world, have found recently that they have fallen behind when it comes to infrastructure. And it is for this reason that even President Biden has committed a lot of resources in infrastructure. We may not have as much resources as they have, but we have the vision, we have the will, we have the intent to ensure that infrastructure becomes, yes, as Minister Dilip says, the flywheel of our economy, so that it fuels and powers our economic growth. Now, the focus is on capital investment in the large network sectors of energy, water, transport, and the digital economy. At least a third of the capital required for this infrastructure should come from the private sector. We recognize that the current policy and legal framework for public infrastructure is fragmented and is not really workable, with many overlapping institutional roles and poor accountability. Now, in the coming year, what we would like to see is that Infrastructure South Africa will be proposing amendments to the Infrastructure Development Act, including new regulations and amendments to other legislation, including the existing public-private partnership regulations. The regulatory framework intends to clarify the various roles and responsibilities amongst all organs of state in the preparation, as well as the approval, as well as the important area of procurement and delivery of large infrastructure programs, or projects and programs, whether they are designed as public-private partnerships or the direct physical expenditure items or programs. Now, over a year ago, the Infrastructure Fund became operational and is already engaged with a project pipeline in areas such as student housing, which is a major need in our country, water and sanitation, social housing, and digital projects. We are also making progress with the establishment of the Social Infrastructure Fund, which will initially prioritize education infrastructure. We are blending the skills as well as the experience of seasoned and retired professionals with Infrastructure South Africa staff to develop the next generation of capable public servants who are tasked with the delivery of ambitious infrastructure projects. Infrastructure development at a massive and innovative scale is critical for the economic development of our country, and inclusive growth and shared prosperity really finally depends on it. I'd like to thank the sponsors and all participants, including the multilateral development banks and funding institutions, the development finance institutions who are here, the commercial banks as well, and organized business and infrastructure-oriented organized bodies as well. I thank them, as I've named them in this way, for contributing their time and other resources for the success of SITSA 21. And we look forward to an enduring relationship that will propel our economic recovery, that will also drive inclusive growth and build a better life for all the people of our country. Some of you may recall the pledge that was made by our forebears in 1955 when they drafted the Freedom Charter. And they said in that pledge, let all those who love their country commit themselves. And they said, we shall fight for the freedoms that they had identified in the Freedom Charter. And they said, we shall fight for these freedoms side by side throughout our lives until we have attained our liberty. Now, as infrastructure plays such a critical role in the life of any country, but more especially our country's life, I'd like to say that we should all say that as we sit here, we are determined to develop South Africa, and we now say we love and we are committed to building South Africa brick by brick, borrowing what Nzinga said, road by road, repeating what she said, highway by highway, that's now me, bridge by bridge, dam by dam, school by school, clinic by clinic, building by building, smart city by smart city, broadband network by broadband network, project by project. All this we shall do, we should say, side by side, as we turn South Africa into a building site, and as we develop our beautiful country into a thriving country and a growing economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the
Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking at the second Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium of South Africa, SITSA 2021, starting off once again sending birthday wishes to Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu, saying he provided another type of infrastructure for the country, that of ethical, moral and religious direction in the country. Of course, the president talking about turning South Africa into a building site. The project was unveiled last year, headed by Dr. Hosienso Ramokgopa as its head of